Hey Lacrosse friends, I'm Steven Stamp, your host of Lacrosse Link. Welcome once again to the show. It is a great episode this week. As usual, we have the rundown at the end where we share news you need from the world of lacrosse. But first, two great right-handed forwards and two great ambassadors for the game of lacrosse. We have Dan Dawson, the new record holder in games played and assists in a career in the NLL. And we have Kevin Crowley of the Philadelphia Wings, who is having a tremendous season once again. Thanks for being with us. I know you will enjoy these episodes. Also, I wanted to say a shout out to Revive Hair Lounge right here in Peterborough, Ontario. Carrie McMaster is my stylist. I think she did a great job making me look presentable here for Lacrosse Link. She's also my wife, so I'm pretty biased, but I think she did a great job. I'm a big fan. I think you should, if you're in the area, check out Revive Hair Lounge. And thank you once again for being with us here on Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse.
Watched by Danby, a big pick from McGraw and another one. Back to McGraw. He's going to let it rip and scores. Liam McGraw from downtown.
Joining me on Lacrosse Link is the all-time NLL leader in games played and assists, Dan Dawson. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Steven.
It's great to have you on, and I want to say, congratulations. You are the leader in those categories. And to me, it's a testament to staying fit, staying healthy, taking care of yourself, but also you have to keep playing at a high enough level that teams keep wanting you to play. And I think that is a huge achievement. So you've done that. Congratulations on that and on these numbers that you've reached.
I appreciate it. I love this game. So, it's just, it's hard to, is the window starting to close. You want to do everything you can to play. So you maybe have to reinvent yourself a bit and find different roles where you can still contribute in different ways.
And you talk about, it has been a long career. You're drafted back in 2002 in the 6th round by Columbus. You start playing the next year. And I'm curious, I can't imagine, I don't know that any young player coming in envisions this kind of career that you've managed to carve out for yourself, especially, you play 11 games that next year, score 3 goals and 3 assists. This has to be beyond what you could have imagined at that point, right?
Absolutely. Like it was a progression for me. As a drafted player, you want to make the team. And then the next progression is you sit out 5 or 6 games that year. You want to play every game. And the next part is you want to be a consistent player in this league and become a champion. And it wasn't something that happened right away for me. Those were all steps I needed to take, and I'm glad they happened. When I look back on my career, it's, I tell people I don't have a lot of regrets because all the failures or situations I handled, maybe not correctly, they helped shape who I am and help mold who I was as a player and a person.
Did you have kind of a turning point moment where you thought, okay, this is how I do it? This is where you can look back and say, this is where it all turned? Because you obviously figured out pretty quickly how to succeed in this league.
Yeah, I think that heading back from that first year as a defensive player to the Junior A League, I had some success for my first time, my 5th year. I was a Junior A MVP of the league. And I thought that, okay, maybe my knowledge of the game is a lot better. I started to figure things out of where to be on the floor. And then the way I prepared myself and started working out and eating right, I just thought, you know what, I love this game so much. I want to play it as long as I can. And I think the way to do that is through your preparation.
And I know family is really important to you, and it's got to have meant a lot for you to have gotten to play in the league for so many years with your brother, also in the league, a lot of games together, a fair number of games against each other. And I know that is something that has meant a lot to you. Can you speak a bit about what it's been like to have Paul in the league and play with and against him?
Yeah, I'll start with against him because that's where we started in Arizona and San Jose. It's tough. Yeah, at the beginning, it's okay because we're both just happy playing and being in the league. And then as you get older and you start winning together and having success with the teams in Brampton and stuff, you realize that it's awkward after the games, especially even Saturday night in Rochester. Like he's obviously happy for me and personally for my success and the Toronto Rock, us winning, but he's not happy that the Toronto Rock won against him and vice versa. Whenever he beat us, it's just not something that's fun for our family when we're playing against each other. And then fast forward to when we're playing with each other, it's a lot easier on everybody. Everyone knows that we're both going to be happy when we win. When we're playing against each other, someone's going to be having a sour lip. So we have forever cherished those moments of playing with each other.
And it is interesting, like you said, you started as a defensive player, and of course, Paul came into the league as a goalie, and then he shifts up to defense, you shift to forward. And there are a lot of guys who have started in defense and moved up. There are not many guys who have started in goalie and moved to another position, but it's been, like you said, a learning process, I think, for both of you throughout your careers. And that seems to me one of the things, like you said, you've had to adapt the last few years to maybe a different role with some teams, but it seems like adapting, adjusting is always part of having success at this level.
Absolutely. The game is forever changing. There's so many young athletic players coming in the league that as you get older in age, you just know that you're not going to be as fast as the younger guys anymore. So you have to do certain things in your game and change them, and maybe not be more of a ball carrier, maybe more an off-ball guy, and establish yourself of getting your teammates open. You have to have value in other ways, just because Father Time doesn't stop for anybody.
And one thing I know that you don't really love getting the attention. I think a lot of us feel a little uncomfortable being the center of attention. I thought at the ceremony in Hamilton for breaking the all-time games record, you really looked like you'd like to get onto the game, but you're always so gracious. You're such a great ambassador for the sport. And I know you're always happy to be part of it, to have a conversation, to talk to people, to do what you need to do to help promote the game. But it certainly feels like your preference is to be on the floor. And is that even more so now that you're getting kind of more of the attention? And like you said, there aren't as many games left.
Absolutely. It's like I say, it's been awkward, but it's been tough because I'm such a small piece of the puzzle in Toronto. I'm not the guy on the pecking order of our team. Like I'm down on the depth chart. So it's a little bit awkward for me to have the limelight on me. Earlier in my career, I get it. I was a younger guy and the ball went through me. I had the keys to the franchise. But now as I'm older, it's just like, listen, like I'm here just to win. I don't want it to be about me. I'm very proud and, of the company I am and with the accolades, but I don't want to downplay what the organization has done to get the ceremony together, to get the plaque together, to make these videos. I'm so thankful. So I try to text the guys after, because on my face, I just want to play the game, and it made me feel like, oh man, this guy doesn't want to be a part of this. But I'm so thankful, because I know that stuff takes time and effort, and my family loves it, and hopefully they can remember it. And I'm thankful for it. I'm more concerned with just winning this year.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, I've enjoyed every conversation I've ever had with you at a rink, at wherever it's been. And I still remember one of my favorite interviews was there was a game in Peterborough, Brampton's playing, and I was supposed to have another member of your team come out, and his response when our runner went was, because the end of the period didn't go well, and he said, "I'm not coming." Which I totally get, like the heat of the moment. I understand, but as a broadcaster, I'm there waiting, and we have brief time to get on. And he said, "What do I do?" And it's like, "Go get Dan Dawson, he'll come." So he goes and grabs you. I'm standing there, and they're literally telling me 15 seconds to air, and there's no sign of anybody. Then you come walking out of the tunnel, and you walk up to me as they're throwing to me. And besides the fact that I don't have to like crouch down, or we can look each other pretty much eye to eye, I just totally appreciated that you understood the moment and you got out there very quickly and stepped in. Not that you're ever a second choice, but at that point we had someone else lined up, and I thought that epitomized you as a player.
No, I appreciate that. And I think as the longevity of me in this league, and both summer and winter, you realize how important media is, and the commentators that are trying to tell this story and make us relevant. And for people that don't give you the time and the effort, it's just mind blowing to me. And I think some of that just comes from not being educated. I don't think it comes from a place of hatred or anything. It just comes more of a place of just being young and not knowledgeable on how important it is that the people that are telling these stories and making us relevant are just as important as the players.
Definitely appreciate your time today. Congratulations again, and thanks for being with us on the show.
Hey, thanks, Stephen. I appreciate it, man. I do truly mean that. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the years, even though where you lay your head is probably not my favorite place in the world. But
I'm in Marmora now. I'm not even in Peterborough, so it's a little.
Oh, there you go. So there you go. Well, I know you're a Peterborough boy, but
yeah.
I'm just joking. I still have a lot of friends from Peterborough.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
See you, buddy. Joining me from the Philadelphia Wings, Kevin Crowley. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's always great to catch up. And what a big win. I mean, the nature of the National Lacrosse League, I think, for most teams and most seasons is it's a roller coaster. You're going to have big ups, you're going to have big downs. I know you try and keep it level, but that was such a big win for you guys going to overtime where you always win. But what was the feeling like for you guys heading out to San Diego, knowing how important it was and the roller coaster within that game and coming out victorious?
Yeah, it was definitely a big confidence booster. It's no secret that we've struggled in certain parts of the year. So, winning against Rochester and then, beating the top team in the West was definitely something that we're looking to build off going forward this season.
You guys have made some changes. I mean, you come into the season, the big trade to bring in Ben McIntosh, who terrific player and someone that I'm sure you're quite familiar with. But you also bring in Corey Small, just a pro's pro, and then partway through the season, you bring in Kyle Jackson, and Brett Hickey goes out. How have all the changes sort of from the beginning of the season and partway through the season impacted, I guess, the team coming together? Because it's been so challenging for everyone anyway, with all the time off, with the COVID breaks, to come into the season. You've got the changes, you start to adjust, you make some more changes. What are the kind of challenges and the net positives for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's all about clicking at the right time. We, obviously, I would say we underperformed this season based on what we looked like on paper, but, there's a lesson there, and, you can't assume anything. So I think, the trade deadline was big, bringing in KJ. I think that was a big pickup. Obviously, I've played with Brett Hickey for a very long time, and, he's a good friend of mine, but, something had to change in the offense. So, we brought in some new guys. Sam LeClaire is buzzing around out there. It's nice to have that youthful energy. And, we're just looking to build, it's been one game at a time, right? And obviously with 2 games left here, it's never been more important than to just focus on next shift, next game.
Sam LeClaire is an interesting one because, I mean, he's a guy who went through coming up through junior B, working his way up to junior A, and coming up to a very good St. Catharines team that was already pretty stacked with, guys like Alex Simmons and a whole bunch of players. So he didn't get a ton of time, but played pretty well for them at times. I saw him absolutely explode at the World Junior Championship. And I just think he's the kind of guy who, there's so much talent already in the league, but if ever guys can get a chance, they can show what they're able to do. And he's a guy that I think has a bright future as well.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I would say definitely a bright future for him. I'm impressed with his lacrosse IQ, especially for a younger player. You could tell he's played at a high level and been coached by, high level coaches. So, yeah, I think he's going to play in this league for a long time and be an impactful player.
At the other end of the floor from you, you've got Zach Higgins, who is another guy, went through not the junior B junior or anything, but he's a guy who, was always a senior A backup, was playing some senior B, trying to work his way into the league, was a backup in the NLL for quite a few years, had one shot really in I guess in Minnesota. It was the Swarm pre-Georgia days, and didn't have a great season when they kind of looked to him as a starter, and took a while, but like so many goalies, it was in his late 20s when it clicked for him. He came over to you guys, and I thought last year he had a great season, and his numbers aren't quite the same this year, but I feel like there are times when he's faced some really high quality shots and has played some very, very good lacrosse for you guys.
Yeah, Higgy's been awesome. You talked about Corey Small being a pro's pro. Higgy's the same way, like his preparation that goes into each game. He really spends a lot of time, watching a ton of film. And I think it's, paid off for him now based on where he's at in the league and how he's regarded as one of the top goaltenders. And we've done him no favors from the offensive end of the ball. Like, we put a lot of pressure on our D when we're only putting up 10 goals a game. So, credit to our defense and Coach Rubel with what they've been able to do so far to keep us in those games. And, we're hoping our offense is clicking now. It would appear, based on the last two games, that we're starting to figure it out. So, it's all about peaking at the right time in the season.
It's also all about, in some ways, carrying over that kind of momentum, but also forgetting about what happened last game and just coming out and playing this game, right? Because it's so funny. You can go from week to week and see a team and you think, oh, they're really coming together. Oh, no, they're struggling. And it can completely turn around. So it really has to be prepping for this game, the next game being the most important one.
Yeah, it honestly feels like we played 3 seasons this year. Like we had the COVID moments where we were missing a lot of our guys because of COVID. And then, this whole season just seems like it's been a long time. But that's the adversity you face, right? And like I said, you want to make sure you're playing your best lacrosse in April, not in February, right?
Mm-hmm. One interesting thing for you, I mean, I think it's interesting. I had Dan Dawson as the other guest today, and he talked about the need to reinvent himself at this point of his career, but also just the adjustments throughout a career as things are always changing. You're always in different situations. And for you, there are times where you've been one of the top goal scorers in the league, and that's been you've been a shooter. And not that you didn't have an all-around game, but that was it seemed like the primary function they needed you to perform. This year, you actually have as many assists as anyone else on your team has points to this point. And you've been scoring a good number of goals. You're right up among the team leaders, but it seems like you've really taken on and embraced the role of making things happen for your teammates as well. The best recent example being, sliding down the alley, drawing a couple of defenders, and then shoveling back up to McIntosh for the overtime winner last weekend.
Yeah, I think it's like a maturation thing in your career, and it's also based on who you're playing with. When we were in New England and I led the league in goals, we didn't have a great record that year, and it was looked on me to shoot the ball, 20 times a game. So, in a percentage game, that's going to be beneficial to you. So, we have a much more balanced offense this year with the wings and a lot of guys who can put the ball in the back of the net. So, I'm happy to draw and dish and, do whatever I can to help the team win.
Do your coaches have to remind you once in a while, like, hey, keep shooting? It's great sending guys up. The drawing and dishing is great, but make sure you shoot too, because you're such a threat with that.
Well, what do you think, Stamper? You think I should shoot the ball more? Is that what you're trying to say right now?
2 more shots a game. How's that?
All right. I think Paul Day said the same thing, so you're right on.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I think a little more shooting. It's funny because, you see that. It's, again, Dan Dawson, the other guest, is a guy who throughout his career in the summer and in the NLL has been told, wow, you should shoot more. You should, you're unstoppable when you go to the net. You should shoot more. And he's done pretty well. He's figured things out, obviously, pretty well. So I think the people within the team, the players and the coaches know better than anybody watching. But there are times when you get kind of a mindset, and I think you have to be reminded, right? Like, hey, you need to be a threat shooting as well, and you are.
Well, I think, if you're not a threat to shoot the ball, then you're not going to draw the defense out to you. And then, if you're trying to be a feeder, you can't be a great feeder unless you're aggressive to the front of the goal and drawing that defense. So, one lends itself to another.
Really appreciate you taking the time. It's always great to catch up. Look forward to seeing you in person at a rink. I actually got to call one of your games earlier in the year when you were in Hamilton, but there was not really any interaction. I didn't go down and see anybody. It was a very different experience. There was no fans at that point. So hopefully soon we'll get to actually be in a rink and catch up and have a chat in person.
Sounds good, Stanford. Thanks.
Hi, this is Jaden with Al Anderson Source for Sports. Excited to tell you that we got all our new lacrosse product in for this upcoming season. Whether you're playing box or field, our lacrosse experts are going to make sure we get you into the right equipment to elevate your game. At Al Anderson Source for Sports, we know our stuff.
Hey, lacrosse friends, I hope you enjoyed those interviews with Dan Dawson and Kevin Crowley as much as I did. Two of the great players and really good guys in the game of lacrosse in the National Lacrosse League. And now we get to the rundown, where we take you to some of the news that you need from the world of lacrosse. And we had two great righties on the show this week. We're going to look at another one who right now is probably the best of them all. And that, of course, is Dane Smith, who has set the record for most assists in a season. That's right, 2 games to go for him in the season, and the Bandit star has already set the record. So the record was set in 2012 by Garrett Billings with 82. He held it for 3 years. In 2015, Sean Evans, Josh Sanderson, both got 83, bumped it up by just 1 assist. 3 years later, Mark Matthews gets 84. Again, increases it by 1 assist. It goes up incrementally generally because it's hard to do. That's a lot of assists to get. And even in an 18-game season, some of the 16-game marks were very good as well, but not up to that rate, obviously. And this year, Dane Smith in 16 games has 87 assists. He's broken the record by 3. He has vaulted past so many people so far, and he's got 2 games left. He's actually on pace for 98 assists. To put it in perspective, not that many players hit the century mark in points in a season. It's a fairly rare and quite impressive feat. It's not much of a stretch to think. I mean, Dane Smith has 2 really good games, even better than he's been having. He could hit 100 assists in the season. That is astonishing. What a season for Dane Smith. The European qualifiers are happening in Poland, and you can watch all the games. We're going to share the stats page where you can go check out all the results. The finals will be this weekend in Poland, and it will decide, these games will decide which teams get to go to the World Championships next year in San Diego. This is the first time there's been a qualification system. There are just too many countries now involved for everyone to go. That's a really good problem for World Lacrosse and the European Lacrosse Federation to have all these countries vying for these spots. So we will see who from Europe gets their designated spots. You can check it all out. We're hopefully showing a little highlights from some of those games. You can go back and watch all of the games. You can go ahead and watch the games coming up to see who gets to go to San Diego, June 21st to July 1st, 2023. This summer coming up, we have Lacrosse Day in Peterborough. It will be June 18th. It is the 150th anniversary of the game of lacrosse in the city of Peterborough. So there's a lot of special celebrations going on. We'll touch on a few more of those as they come up. Some really cool stuff happening. But June 18th, all 6 major series lacrosse teams will play at the Memorial Center in Peterborough as part of the Lacrosse Day in Peterborough celebration. And we will see Brooklyn versus Coburg in a battle of the top 2 teams in the standings in last year's Major Series Lacrosse Classic. We'll see Oakville versus Owen Sound. And closing out the evening, the home team, the Peterborough Lakers, against the Six Nations Chiefs. That's only a battle between the teams who've met in 5 of the last 6 MSL Championship Series. So it should be a great day. It's been announced, the schedule is out, and I just thought that was a pretty cool thing to get to share. We're looking at second chance success in the National Lacrosse League. It happens sometimes that a player is very good prospect, gets drafted high, it just doesn't pan out. You look at guys like, or it doesn't pan out right away. Guys like Riley O'Connor, drafted by Calgary, didn't really work for him, goes to New England, everything clicks for him, and he is now a very valued player in that organization and an alternate captain. There's lots of other examples of guys who took a while to find their game. The latest and right now greatest example is probably Connor Robinson, who was drafted 5th overall by the Saskatchewan Rush in 2018. Just didn't really work out. He played in the next 2 seasons, a total of 11 games, scored a total of 5 goals for Saskatchewan. They thought he was very good. They thought he would develop into an NLL player. It just didn't happen for him there. They decided to trade him. They got a first-round pick and more compensation. Thought, okay, that's a good deal for us. We're gonna go ahead and send him to Colorado, and the Mammoth are thrilled. Remember, he played 11 games for the Rush, scored 5 goals. This year, he's played 16 games for the Mammoth. He has had at least one game, I think 2 games, where he's scored more than 5 goals in a game. He is currently 3rd in the NLL with 40 goals in those 16 games, just one behind Lyle Thompson and Tom Schreiber. Now, you can say, well, Robinson's played 2 more games than those guys. That's true, he has. So take that into account. He's still right up there, but we'll give you that. How about this? He's played the same number of games as Dane Smith, the Great Dane, and he has 1 more goal than Dane does. So pretty good season for Connor Robinson. And from second chance, we're going to go to 3 stars and talk a little bit. Don't want to pile on, but in the game, Vancouver at Saskatchewan last week, the Rush win 15-13. It was a good game. It was an exciting game, very back and forth. Nobody ever was able to pull away. The Rush hold on, get a big win for them, keep their very slim playoff hopes alive for the time being. The 3 stars of the game, Mike Messenger, who had 2 goals and 2 assists for Saskatchewan. Ryan Keenan had a goal and 6 assists. Josh Courier had 4 goals and an assist. He got the last 2 goals for Saskatchewan to seal that win for them. He had a huge game. So, pretty good picks. Cool. But, and it's a big but, like we're talking Sir Mix-a-Lot size but. Kyle Killen had 7 goals for Vancouver. Keegan Ball had 5 goals and 5 assists for Vancouver. So that's just bad picking to leave them out completely. You can always debate the 3-star choices, and it's hard. I've done it at games, and it's always, you feel some pressure for sure. You want to try and get it right. In this case, they definitely did not. And I don't want to pick too much on whoever did it, but you have to. I just don't see the argument that works to explain how in a 2-goal game, very close throughout between 2 division rivals, you leave out Kyle Killen and Keegan Ball with what they did in that game. And again, it's a challenge, but I would just encourage anyone, if you are in the position to pick the 3 stars of a game, really think about how you're going to go about that and make sure that you're including players from the visiting team if appropriate. There are cases where it's not, but usually getting somebody in from the visiting team is a pretty good idea. That is this week's episode of Lacrosse Link. You can hit me up at Stamplax on Twitter. You can follow the show. Check all the episodes out on Lacrosse Sports Network. Go to the archive trays. Go to our YouTube page for Lacrosse Link and the Facebook page. All the episodes are up there. I'd go back and catch up with some of the old ones because I think they're still worth going and seeing. Thanks so much, Lacrosse friends, for being with us. I'm Steven Stamp, your host. Can't wait to have you back next week on Lacrosse Link, your link to all things lacrosse.